I want to welcome everybody to Black Belt Lifestyle. Today we're going to be talking to the legend, Royce Gracie. Thank you for coming
How are you,
today.
Doctor?
I'm doing great. As you know, one of your favorite pastimes is let's say busting my chops a little bit. So I had a little bit of a heart attack before this, but I'm doing great now. Today we want to talk about growing up Gracie, what it was like in your very, very dynamic family. Now I had the pleasure, the opportunity to know your dad a little bit. I took about 3 or 4 privates with him. I thought he was just an amazing man, and I'll share with you a couple of things later. But what was it like? What's your earliest memories of being a Gracie? Your earliest memories of your dad?
Of my dad, of training Jiu Jitsu?
Let's talk about the earliest memories of your dad.
It's hanging out with him at the farm.
At the farm.
It's setting up the horses and going for horseback riding. From a young age, my father was very fan of riding horses, and yep.
And what age were you?
Oof, we're talking before 6, 7 years old.
So what? Your father was born in 1913. So what age was he at that time?
Oof. Now you're asking my math to work early this morning. No.
So you're how old are you now?
I'm 58.
58. Okay.
But yes, he was from a young age. My father always took us to the farm.
So about
every weekend.
So 50 years ago, he would have been. It would have been like 1975 or 1970 at the time, and you're hanging out with him, your brothers. What memories do you have besides horseback? Who did you horseback ride with? Do you remember?
That was always Royce and Holker. They're the closest one.
Yeah.
Royce is a year older, and Holker is 2 years older. So it's always the 3 of us together.
So I've been able to establish that age difference because I made some mistakes earlier on about who was older than who, and I had to pay for it. Sometimes I still make a mistake, but so you're the youngest
of
the boys.
Between, yes. There's one brother that's younger than me, Robin.
Okay.
So, but he came way after.
Okay, he came way after.
But the Royce and Holker and myself, were always the 3 of us together because we were very close on age, 1 year apart from each one of us.
And do you remember the first time on the mat?
Oof. I remember going to the academy in Copacabana, training with Hollish. That's how we started in the group class. So my mom would bring us to the academy on Figueiredo Magalhães.
And how old were you?
Oof. 6, 7, as far as I remember. We used to because my first competition was 7 years old, so 6 years old we were already going to the academy to play, not to train, not to learn. But that was like we come in early and play soccer on the mats and play hide and seek on the school before all the kids shows up.
Did you train at the farm at all? There were mats at the farm, right?
There was mats at the farm, Petrópolis, in the house. When my father moved to the farm, because he used to go for the weekends, and then let me go back. He used to supply kimonos and towels to all the private class students only in the center of Rio. And then on the weekends he would take all the used kimonos, all the used towels, and go to the farm, wash them all, and then put in a big industrial washing machine, dry them all, fold them all, and then bring it back, and the students will use again the following week in the center of Rio. That was private classes only. So he used to go for the weekends. With time, he slowed down teaching the private class at the academy, and then he moved from Rio to the farm.
And the farm was in what town?
And that's when he set up Petrópolis. And that's when he set up mats over there. So he was living there, and people would come over to visit, and students would come up to visit, and he right away invite you to the mats, take a class.
And who else was around your age group at the time on the mats playing soccer? Which of your cousins?
It was mostly Royler and Holker with me the whole time.
What about your cousins?
They're in a different school. They would train different in different locations.
On the weekends, would they be at the farm or?
Sometimes I'll see them.
Yeah.
Would be Helion, would be the Machado brothers. So Higan and Carlos and Jean-Jacques, John, Roger, the five brothers, they'll come up, hang out with us.
Wow, unbelievable.
So, but most likely will be Royler and Holker the whole time. Hickson was a little older, so he would show up at the farm, but different age group.
And at what point did you come to the realization that of who your family was? At what point did you realize, hey, I'm a little bit unusual. I'm in this dynamic family.
That was about 14 years old.
Uh-huh.
I realized the Gracie name, what he meant, and they always telling stories about fighting, and everybody had a fight at one time, and you see telling stories, and so I was like, wow, I come from a family of fighters. I want to be one of them.
What about when you had your first competition? You said you were 7 or 8. Did you realize I'm one of the Gracies, or you just were a kid going on the mat?
Then I was just a student, just another student, just at 6, 7 years old. I mean, because back then you could only compete at 8 years old. So Royler was 8. My father put me as 8 years old, signing me up. I was 7 to compete with him. So we were both competing together.
Wow.
So, but there was no, I didn't know who the family was at the time. Back then it was just, I'm just training, just doing martial art, doing what everybody else in the family does.
At what point what's your earliest recollection of your older brothers, Horion, Hickson? What was that interaction like? Were you training with them? And then I also want to ask you about Holz.
Horion, I think, as far as I remember, he was already in America in the 70s. So I remember him coming to Brazil, and he would show up, pick us up, take us out of school early. He would show up at the school, and it's like, whisper something on the teacher's ear, saying we have a demonstration, and he'll make up an excuse and take us out of school. We're like, awesome. What are we doing? Well, we're going to do a demonstration. As soon as we step outside, he have clothes for us to change. We'll go to the beach instead. Horion was awesome. And then Hollish, he was the one that taught us as a young age, as a kids, because my father only had private classes in the center of the city in Rio, in downtown Rio. So my father only had private classes, and Hollish is the one that started the group classes in Brazil. So he had kids group class, and for us, that's when the three of us, Royler and Hulk and myself, would go to Copacabana to learn from him, from Hollish, from Carson. Carson had kids group class too, so we learned a lot from them.
And what do you remember of your mom during that time? Was she the one that was taking you to the classes?
Oh yes, we drove my mom crazy.
So she had to take you all around, basically.
She had 6 kids.
So instead of a soccer mom, she was a Jiu Jitsu mom.
And you couldn't leave the young ones at home, so she'd bring everybody, drop some of us at the school to train, and wait for us and bring us back home. And yep, it was not a soccer mom, it was a Jiu-Jitsu mom.
Now, my understanding of, you were talking about the private classes. My understanding is that you showed up and you've got a little basket, and in the basket was a clean and always white kimono, always white.
A towel, if I'm not mistaken, soap and a comb for the students.
So from the early days, your father and your uncle were very concerned about diet, about lifestyle, and about hygiene. And even today, when you give your seminars all over the world, the advertisement for your seminar always says white kimono only. So your uncle and your dad stressed the white kimono for hygiene reasons.
it's on the white kimono, you can see, on the white gi, you can see if it's clean or if it's dirty. So sometimes the black kimonos or blue, it hides the dirt.
As a physician, as an orthopedic surgeon, a spine surgeon, I often get people that come to me with a variety of different problems. One of those problems is skin infections. And I've noticed over the years that I just don't seem to see them when somebody's using a white kimono all the time, because with white, they're able to put Clorox in it. And with white, you have to, because you can see it, you have to wash it every day. And I will tell you the truth, I've had people whisper in my ear, the reason why I have a blue or black one is I don't have to wash it as often. And anytime I've seen an infection in somebody, I've always asked. In fact, we had something on the internet with Marty Malloy. She was the bronze medalist in 2012, and she was telling me, we were talking one time about infections, and I asked her, hey, did those people that you saw that had infections, were they training with people that had a black or blue kimono? And she said, how did you know? I said, because you can't get them as clean. And
I mean, it's not, you can get it clean, but a lot of people don't. Because you can hide.
You can hide.
So you don't have to wash it every day, a black kimono.
And you don't tend to use Clorox, where with a white kimono, you tend to use Clorox with it more. What about as you got older? Now, you said you were 7, 8, now 14, you realize, hey, I'm in an unusual family. Who were you training with at that time? And who was around? Did you have any contact? Were you training with Hickson at that point in time, with Holes? Who was around that you could train with?
Hollis passed away when I was about 14, in a hand glide accident. So that's when I changed and went start taking private classes with Hickson and Carlos Gracie Jr. So back because they were teaching private classes with my father in downtown Rio.
Wow.
So that's when I went start taking private classes with them.
What's the first memory of, I know that nowadays you have so much love for your family, and I'm fortunate that some of your family members think of me as somewhat knowledgeable, so they come to me as one of their doctors. And I know all the time when I get one of the Gracies that comes to me, you're always, make sure you take care of Charles's family, make sure you take care of, and you're always looking after them, and I see the love that you have. I know that you've expressed that for Henzo, such love at times, and for Charles. Those are my personal experiences. I'm sure you have the same love for other members of your family, but those are my personal experiences. What's the first time you remember training with those guys?
Charles we grew up in the same neighborhood, but Henzo was a little farther away. So Charles and I had a little more contact from a young age. Henzo, I would see him a lot on the weekends with the Machado brothers when we went to Teresópolis, different city in the mountains than my father. So we was to go hang out over there with the Machado brothers, and Henzo always around, and Helion. So the cousins, my best friends growing up was my family. We were always together. We go to the beach and we go to the farm, and we're always doing things together and hanging out on the weekends. My brothers, my cousins. That's why my father had 21. My father had 9 kids. My uncle Carlos had 21.
Wow.
Not counting the other uncles that I didn't meet, but they kind of separate, move away from my uncle Carlos and my father. But just the two of them, we had a lot of cousins.
Now the other brothers, I know one was Oswaldo, one was George,
and Gaston,
and Gaston, which basically is a derivation of George. And then their father was your father's father. What was his first name? Gaston.
Gaston.
And then his father was George, who was the original Gracie that came from Scotland. What were the stories that you heard about your would have been your grandfather, George?
Not much. He was a businessman doing business. That's how he did the business with a Japanese gentleman that in good faith showed Uncle Carlos and the other uncles the art of Jiu Jitsu.
Wow. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What about, do you know what town George came from in Scotland?
No, I don't.
So if anybody's out there,
we can do research on that.
If anybody's out
I never
there that
did.
has roots in Scotland and knows, let us know what town you think George originally came from when he came to Brazil. It's an unbelievable story. Unbelievable story. What about your mom? What do you remember about your mom? Your mom is
she's still alive.
She's still
alive,
and
she's the bean one. People think that my father is the fighter. On the first UFC, my father used to be like, "Oh, don't hit your opponents. I don't want to don't hurt them." And when using technique, my mom will come in and goes, "Nope, I want to see blood. Send them to the hospital." Mom was the mean one. You don't mess with mom. She was like, "Your father is wrong." I was like, "I thought my father was the grandmaster." She's like, "Nope, I want to see blood. Send them to the hospital." I was like, "All right."
I hope that I have the pleasure and honor someday of meeting your mom, because I've heard such great stories. And a lot of people don't see that side of you, the love that you have for your whole family, your cousins. And I just see the smile as you're talking about, the Machado brothers, where you're talking about Henzo, you're talking about Charles. Your face lights up, and there's so much love that you have for your whole family, and you've raised a great family. You've raised a great family. So it's just, people don't see that side of you, the family man side, which is what you are. You're the ultimate family guy. And
people always ask how many Gracies there's around. I said not enough.
Not enough.
We have a lot of us. There's a lot of us, but not enough.
Some of the Gracies are in the fifth generation of teaching this art all over the world, and it's amazing. It's just an amazing story. Amazing story. Now, and I know I'm not going to name any names, but I know that as we get on, there's things that happen to us, and I know that you have a very close affinity for a lot of the women in your family, and I know one in particular. I'm not going to say who it is, but
because the other ones will get jealous.
No, but one of the women just she developed a medical problem and it almost brought you to tears. I know that we were talking a couple of times, and a lot of people don't see that sensitive side of you and don't really understand that warmth that you have in your soul, and I think it's amazing. They asked St. Francis one time, his followers said, "Teach us when to preach and how to preach." And he said, "Oh, my son, you have it wrong." He said, "You should always be preaching. Every once in a while, you may need to use words." And I look at you as kind of a St. Francis in a way, because you teach by demonstrating what you've done and how you've raised your family and the love for your family. It's amazing.
We are a family of fighters. But then sometimes I feel like a lot of the females in the family get forgotten. So I kind of bring them in and kind of try to help them out and raise them and to be strong women.
You have amazing family members, and I know that there's a lot of family members that look up to you. And I heard, Charles's son actually got engaged on my dock at Lake Tahoe, and I know that you look after him, and you've always been there when he's had to have
his daughter. Is like, I treat her like my daughter.
And I know Charles is going to get a little bit upset, but I heard his daughter thinks that you make the best spaghetti sauce. Now, is that true?
I make the best of everything. Come on.
I know. I've tasted your cooking.
We're very competitive in this family.
I know you're a very good cook, and nutrition. Uncle Carlos. When any of your brothers speaks about Uncle Carlos, they talk about how smart he is. They talk about the diet and coming up with the diet. And, it's amazing. How old were you when you realized that your family practiced this special diet?
Oof. I don't remember how old I was, but we grew up. The most common thing that we heard growing up is, "It's not time to eat. And this do not combine with that."
So there were things that combined and things that didn't combine.
So we always, but I'm hungry. It's not time to eat yet. It's every 4.5 hours for kid, 5 hours for adults to eat. But I'm hungry. It's not time to eat yet. We all Gracies. If you're Gracie, you heard this growing up.
I noticed that.
Or this doesn't combine. But I want to eat that. Doesn't combine.
I want to dive into why the diet got created on a different episode and talk about the diet and talk about who follows it and who doesn't. And I know personally, I have a freezer at my house that's filled with a lot of venison that, and you know, maybe this is a topic people won't like, but I think it's one of the healthiest meats out there because it doesn't have any chemicals in it, doesn't get processed. And you know, I hold the
elk, gator, fish.
I particularly like when you bring the oryx. That to me is the tastiest.
That was probably the best
of all the meat. And in my family, I hold the secrets to the family meatball recipe, and I've made them with the venison, and I've made them with elk. I haven't made them with oryx yet, and nobody can tell the difference. But it's just a healthier way to go because I try to teach that to my own patients to eat healthy. Thank you for watching this episode. And we're going to be back for more. If there's any questions that people would like to see us dive into in the future, then please let us know. Get out there, get on the mats, train in jiu-jitsu, eat healthy. God bless everyone.